The high-pitched laughter of my daughter, Clara, cut through the sophisticated murmur of the annual St. Jude's Charity Gala. She was holding court by the bar, her hand draped dramatically over the arm of her fiancé, Richard, a man whose charm was as thin and brittle as the ice in his whiskey glass. I stood near the silent auction tables, feeling the usual knot of humiliation tighten in my stomach. Tonight's offense wasn't a slap, but a public denial, delivered with surgical precision just 5 minutes earlier. "Oh, is that your mother, Clara?" asked a socialite, adjusting her diamond choker. Clara, noticing me in my simple, decade-old black dress, winced slightly before forcing a bright smile. "Mrs. Albright, honestly, I'm not sure. I think that's the cleaning lady we hired for the reception hall. She often stops by the events to check on the inventory." Richard chuckled, his eyes skimming over me as if I were indeed part of the catering staff. "Yes, she's a gem, very dedicated." My name is Eleanor Vance. I am 72 years old, and like the late Aurora Hughes, I have cultivated a life of deliberate anonymity. To the world, and especially to Clara and Richard, I am a simple retired school teacher living on a modest annuity, a slightly embarrassing, financially inconvenient accessory to their upscale lifestyle. The heat of 1,000 silent daggers, the judgment of 200 guests was unbearable. I had endured 2 years of Clara's gradual condescension, the snide comments about my chipped kitchen counter, the eye rolls at my secondhand car, the constant, veiled pressure to downsize my house in the quiet but lucrative old money district. Her biggest pressure point was the necklace I wore tonight, a single strand of perfectly matched Akoya pearls. It wasn't gaudy, but it was flawless, a gift from my late husband. "That old thing really clashes with your dress, Mom," she had told me last week. "I saw a great replacement at a pawn shop the other day. Maybe you should sell the pearls and use the cash for groceries." I clutched the pearls beneath my simple velvet wrap. That necklace was the least of it. It was the key to everything. I quietly slipped to a secluded corner and pulled out my worn Nokia phone, not a sign of poverty, but a testament to my desire for privacy. I dialed a number I hadn't used in 2 years, a number that connected me to the Eleanor Vance that only a select few knew. "Marcus, it's Eleanor. I need you to come to the gala immediately. Bring the trust documents. I'm afraid the time for subtlety has passed." Marcus, my legal counsel and business manager, didn't hesitate. "Understood, Mrs. Vance. 20 minutes. As I waited, I watched Clara. She was now draped over Richard, batting her eyelashes as she pointed to a framed, rare antique map in the silent auction, one with a $30,000 reserve price. "Oh, darling, we must have that map for the study in our new house," she cooed. "We will," Richard said, his voice laced with false confidence. "But first, we need your mother to stop being so stubbornly attached to her dusty old house. Once we get that equity, we'll buy whatever we want." The house, my husband's family estate, tucked away on 3 acres of land, was worth a quiet fortune, a fortune Clara intended to help me sell. It was the inheritance she was obsessed with. What she didn't know was that the house was one asset in a much, much larger empire I had quietly managed since my husband's death. 15 minutes later, Marcus, a sleek, immaculately dressed man in his late 40s, walked into the ballroom. Unlike the other guests, he walked straight to me. His presence alone commanded attention. I walked with him to the center of the room, right as the auctioneer was about to announce the winning bid for the antique map. "Excuse me," Marcus's voice boomed, cutting across the auctioneer's microphone. "May I have your attention, please?" The crowd turned. Clara and Richard frowned, annoyed by the interruption. "What is the meaning of this?" Richard snapped, clearly recognizing the lawyer. "Who are you to interrupt a charity function?" "I am Marcus Sterling, legal representative of the Vance Foundation.
And this, he gestured to me, is its founder, Mrs. Eleanor Vance, the woman your fiancé just denied knowing." Clara laughed, a strained, nervous sound. "Mom, stop. You're making a scene. The Vance Foundation. That's absurd."
"Absurd, my dear." I finally spoke, my voice soft but piercing. I slowly unclasped the Akoya pearl necklace. "Clara, you asked me to sell this old thing for groceries. You thought my life was a financial struggle." I held the necklace up, letting the perfect orbs catch the light. These pearls were a gift from my husband on the day he established the Vance Family Charitable Trust, the trust that funds the Vance Foundation. I handed the necklace to Marcus. "Marcus, please read the Foundation's primary charitable contributions for this year." Marcus opened a folder and cleared his throat. "Certainly, Mrs. Vance. The Foundation's single largest donation this year was a $1.5 million endowment to St. Jude's for their new research wing." The entire room gasped. Clara's face went from pale to a dangerous shade of crimson. I walked up to the antique map and tapped the glass. "This map, Clara, the one you must have, it was quietly donated to this auction by my foundation." I then turned to the flustered auctioneer. "Sir, I'd like to exercise my right as a major donor. What was the winning bid?" It was $32,000, ma'am." "Excellent. Marcus, please write a check for $64,000, double the final bid, to St. Jude's, and return the map to the Foundation's collection. I wouldn't want my daughter to have to worry about maintaining the value of an expensive antique while she is so concerned about my groceries." I looked at Clara, my heart breaking for the daughter I had lost. "You thought I was weak, a beggar, an obstacle to your greed. You were wrong. You thought you could deny me in public and then steal from me in private. You were deeply, catastrophically wrong." But the house," Clara stammered, tears welling up, not of shame, but of utter despair over the lost fortune. "The house is the inheritance." "The house," I confirmed, "is where I raised you and where your father died. It is a home, not a cash register." I paused, letting the full force of my next words land. "And you, my dearest, have just forfeited your place in my life and any claim to my estate. Every last dime and every last pearl will now go directly to the charities you use for social climbing, because they know the true value of a genuine gift." I turned my back on the silence, on my sobbing daughter, and on the man who had enabled her. As I walked out, Marcus by my side, I felt the familiar weight of my simple old dress and the immense, liberating power of being rich, free, and finally, visible.